r/AskReddit. What was your biggest, shit, no going back now moment? Mountain biking with some friends on a new trail, which wasn't even a bike trail. We hiked most of the way up, since it was too steep to ride up. Carried our bikes all the way up, rested at the top for a bit, and then rolled over the edge. I remember as my front tire crested, and gravity started taking over, I thought, there's no way I'm stopping now, unless a tree stops me. When I was younger, letting my older cousin talk me into a canoe ride down a flooded river. We'd planned it days in advance, but there was a lot of heavy rain in the area, and the normally calm river was near flood level and quite rough. I really didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to let him down either, so I still went. I knew as soon as we saw the river this was a terrible idea. The whole thing was a shat show, and I honestly thought we were going to die. We had no control, and at one point we got stuck nose down, and a large rock, knowing if we tipped out we were drowning. We somehow made it out, and to the shore where we walked back with the canoe. Canoeing over a waterfall. Yeah, stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. First time I did a waterfall I thought I was gonna die. I'd been whitewater kayaking for over a year, had all my safety trained friends there with me, yet that feeling of going over and looking down at the hole just made me go, yep, I've gone too far. I hopped a freight train once, and the moment it hits 15 to 20 miles per hour, you're just along for the ride. But the real no going back moment came when the train stopped on a siding outside Winnemucca. After waiting there for like 5 hours, I decided to walk into town and get some ice cream sandwiches. As soon as I got 50 yards from the train, I realized if it starts rolling now, I'll be too far away to chase it down. I'll just be stuck in this town for a while. Edit. For you kids out there, riding freight trains is dangerous and illegal, and dirty and loud and unreliable. Don't do it. Also, I should point out that Winnemucca is home to some of America's best Basque restaurants, fantastic cowboy heritage sites, and it's the gateway to the Black Rock Desert. It's got something for everyone, not just stranded hobos. Train surfing is fun though. Just don't get busted. Also bring gear with you, in case you decide to stay in a town for a day or so, or miss a train. I've gone from Indianapolis, Indiana to Portland, Oregon, and then caught a plane back to Illinois, and caught a ride for a short road trip home before. I recently found out that if you live in the US and are a part of the army, you can fly on military planes for ridiculously low prices. Like, going from Australia to India for about $25. The sergeant I was talking to said that several of his buddies went on impromptu trips to other countries, just taking random planes to countries for a couple of weeks. I want to try that at least once if I join the army. It's not as straightforward as that. You are put on a wait list, have to stay at the airport, and if they have space at time of departure, and you happen to not be in the bathroom when they call for it, then you have a good chance of going where you want for cheap. But no command I was ever under was willing to let you do standby for a round trip. You had to have a real ticket back to your duty station, so you could report on time when your leave ended. I took advantage of it for short trips, or 3-day weekend to Tokyo when I was stationed in Korea, for example, but I never used it for a long transoceanic flight. I've literally been bumped off the flight after I boarded because someone who was on official orders needed the seat. It's definitely a perk, just not a big one. Stepping off that sandbar, I could barely reach to swim out to the girl, caught in a riptide, and not knowing how a riptide worked. It took what felt like hours, but, spoiler alert, we made it. Too early in the season for lifeguards. I remember calling out to people walking their dogs on the beach, but we were so far out they didn't even look towards us. When I was a kid, maybe like 7 or 8, I got pulled out by a riptide. None of my fam saw it happen until I was way out there. Some random teenager swam out to haul me back. Never got her name, but I'll gratefully remember her face forever. I'd bet the girl you hauled in feels the same sort of gratitude. When I was about 12 at summer camp, I was sitting on the dock of the lake fully clothed with shoes and a hoodie on. A couple of buttholes pushed me right in, not knowing I was not a good swimmer. The water filled my clothes and shoes and I just started sinking. No matter how much I tried to swim up, I couldn't do it. I hadn't had a chance to catch a breath, so I couldn't breathe at all. I thought I was going to die. I couldn't keep trying to swim up. I couldn't see anything. All of a sudden I start rising, and I'm on the grassy shore. A girl a little older than me jumped in, fully clothed, and saved my life. I never got her name, or saw her really after that. I think about it a lot. Getting in the ambulance after suffering a grand mal seizure from alcohol withdrawals. When I finally said enough is enough, and decided I needed to quit drinking, before it killed me, I thought I could detox on my own as I was terrified of hospitals. I was wrong. I spent a week detoxing in the ICU, and now, almost a full year later, I'm still very happily sober, and I'm completely thriving. Parachute jump. My life is now no longer in my hands. Oh well. Geronimo. First time I went skydiving was a tandem jump, and the guy told me on the ground, once we get in the door we'll rock back and forth 3 times. On the 3rd time forward just roll out the door. So, me being the trusting sort thought that was a solid plan. We get up to altitude, open the door, I put my feet on the little platform, and cross my arms, just like he told me to. The ducker rocked back once, and pushed us out the door immediately. My only thought was that wasn't 3. Oh duck, we're falling. Walking into a MMA fight, and the cage closes behind you. How did it go? Pretty okay I would say. I got punched in the face a lot, but subbed my opponent with an armbar. It was just an amateur level fight, but you learn a lot even there. Like you don't really hear your coach, you are way too consumed by what's going on, at least in the first few fights. Also, you can't really improvise, so a game plan is pretty important, because you will just revert to the basics you practiced. Also, you get ducking tired as duck. Just stuff you don't really understand if you're never in a fight. Every time I solo traveled and arrived in a new country. Same here. Also, solo moving to a new country. My plane touched the ground at about midnight in Stockholm, and I was like shit. I'm 23 and I live alone in Stockholm. No going back now.